Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I'm your host, Lonnie Jones, and the adventure part is basically just our experiences. And some of those experiences are as mundane as growing up, being married, being a young married couple with a kid, or being a middle-aged couple with grandkids. Some of the experiences will be my adventures as an outdoorsman, a rock climber, a fisherman, a hunter, or my experiences as a police chaplain who's been assigned to a SWAT team for over 30 years. Some of that adventure may even boil down to the idea that there's a belief that I'm a chaotic Jedi. Either way, we'll take the experiences or the adventures and we'll talk about the facts. The facts will lead to concepts, and the concepts lead to application. Basically, it will be anecdotal wisdom. One cautionary word about the facts is we will tell you the facts just as they happened, but sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we remember them happening, and sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we've heard other people tell us the way they remember them happening. In any occasion, it's not an attempt to deceive. There'll be a little bit of embellishment, and it's an all good, clean fun and for learning purposes only. Thank you for keeping up with Jones. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a 2-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions@faulkner.edu. That is admissions@faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I exited the back of a utility trailer. I'm with another guy. We wrap around the corner, and there are robots everywhere. Now, these are not T100 liquid terminators, but they're target robots, and they belong to a company called Marathon Targets. This company is run, if not owned, by Brett Turner, and he and his band of merry men have devised this very unique and super cool training product. They use a system that they called, or they named, Autonomous Robotic Training System, ARTS, and the robots are programmed with collision avoidance. Now, this enables you to put the robots in a place, in a scenario, and engage the system and never worry about the robots coming into contact with people. The technology allows them to create a map of any area or structure, assuming the robots can travel on the terrain. The system can work in a single room. It can work in a city block. It can work in an entire valley. All they have to have is the map. And once the robots are in the mapped area, they become self-aware, and they know where all the other robots are, as well as any obstacles or anybody else moving on the map. Now, once the mapping of a desired venue is completed, the number of scenarios that you can do with these robots is limited only by the user's imagination. These shootable, programmable robots, I jokingly refer to as the T1000s. They have an upper body, and it's an armored chassis. It's comprised of a self-sealing polymer. Now, the upper bodies of these things look just like the armless punching dummies that are ubiquitous in boxing and mixed martial arts gyms. I remember a comedian talking about practicing boxing on one of those things, and he said, "Yep, if some guy ever tries to river dance with my wife, I'll be ready." Well, these upper torsos with no arms, these boxing dummies are mounted on a belt-driven, motorized, computer-controlled, tiny little tank apparatus. And they can be programmed to move randomly. They can be programmed to approach a target. They can be programmed to aggress the shooter. They can be programmed to deanimate, fall over with one hit anywhere. Or you can say, hey, you can't fall over until you get X number of hits in a pre-designated vital area. You can even program them that they won't deanimate unless they get hit with a headshot. We did all kinds of scenarios. Now, this is the second time I've got to shoot these things. We did several scenarios from shoot a bad robot guarding a hostage, and then the hostage would turn and run toward you, and all the other robots would be in pursuit, and you had to eliminate them before they crossed a certain line. We played a zombie game one time where if you had an area you had to keep sterile, you had a robot you were protecting from the other robots, and the robots came at it, and you would shoot them. But if another quote unquote bad robot got within 10 or 12 feet of the robot you'd already shot, that robot would reanimate, acting like a zombie. You had to keep the specified area clean or sterile with gunfire. Now, the last time we got to train with the T-1000s, we had to turn and fire one round from a rifle and then transition to a pistol as the robot advanced. And these guys were started out pretty close to us. Your back is facing the robot. The guy controlling the scenarios, says ready, gun, whatever, and you turn and you've only got one round in your rifle. So you shoot, you should sling your rifle and pull your pistol. Well, I didn't have a pistol on the range that day. So I was trying to shoot one round with the rifle, eject a magazine, put a new magazine in, and shoot this robot before it got to me at close quarter battle range. It turns out that the guy standing next to me, Cody Medford, had to save my bacon in every single scenario because I couldn't reload fast enough. He had to shoot my robot for me. So here we are on the range, and this is not the police range. This is a range out by Ditto Landing. So you're kind of in the boonies anyway. It's a really neat range out there, but you're just in the middle of nowhere. And we're playing these shooting games with these quote unquote killer robots. And suddenly Verizon has the techno burp. Several weeks ago, there was some kind of big deal with cell phone coverage. And I had lots of people tell me, hey, my phone wouldn't work and I didn't get your message. Well, here we are on the range with these robots, and guys start saying, hey, my phone won't work. Hey, I can't get on the internet. And all I can hear in my head is the voice of Arnold. The system goes online August 4th, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic defense. Skynet begins to learn at a geometric rate. It becomes self-aware. 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th. This is the stuff of nightmares. Well, nightmares in the 14-year-old part of my brain. You see, as a little kid, I spent an inordinate amount of time learning how, in the late 60s and 70s, learning how to kill vampires, werewolves, cave wights, balrogs, pit fiends, shapeshifters, doppelgangers, aliens, heffalumps, and woozles. And with this vast knowledge of how to deal with the monsters that may or may not exist in the world, in 1984, we were introduced to hunter-killer, cyborg, synthetic stuff robots. Nobody prepared me for robots. And here I am on the range with robots that are designed to train combat. And somebody says, hey, the internet doesn't work like it's supposed to. I start staring at the robots and start stuffing magazines into my pockets, getting ready for the party to start. Well, as it turns out, today was not the day we were going to have the war with the machines. The final training scenario we did of the day was the one I was talking about. We were standing in a utility trailer, and the guy would call us out in pairs, and we would approach, and he would say, you're entering a scenario where you have an active shooter. And you wrap around the corner, and you've got an active shooter situation. There's one robot, and it had a cutout of an assault rifle affixed to its chest. And it is the quote unquote the shooter. And it is moving among the non-shooter or the civilian robots, and the civilian robots are all moving. The only problem is they're all dressed exactly the same. The upper torsos are covered in camouflage BDU shirts. They have a balaclava mask on them and boonie hats. And the only difference in the bad guy that you're supposed to find and the good guys you're supposed to protect is there's a cutout of a gun on the bad one. and you got to find the one with the gun, and you got to shoot it. But the more time you take doing it, the quote unquote innocent robots begin to fall over, acting like they're victims. And the scene continues until the bad robot is stopped. Now, don't be fooled. These guys aren't amateurs. You see, you still have to clear the scene. And sure enough, there's not just one shooter, there's two. And it comes out of a blind corner, and you got to shoot it too. Now, I'm a hunter. I'm a intermediate civilian gun handler, but I've shot a lot of deer. And rarely, and I mean really, really rare, count them on one hand, the number of times I've had to shoot more than one time to drop a deer. But as a hunter, you shoot and you wait on the reaction. You shoot and you watch how the deer responds. You'll see signs of a hit, and then you watch where it runs off, or you watch where it falls, depending on, ammunition and distance and that kind of stuff. Combat shooters shoot until they get the reaction they want. They don't shoot and wait on reaction. They shoot until they get their reaction. You see, in deer hunting, almost 90% of the time or higher, the target is not moving, and if it is moving, it's not moving very fast. And you've got time to look. You've got time to aim. You've got time to look at the backdrop. Where's this bullet going to go if I miss? Where's that bullet going to go if I pass through it? You have time to wait on the deer to turn broadside, exposing the largest area of their vitals. Some people refer to that as the area of the minimum or the maximum point blank range. And depending on how your gun is sighting in, you wait for that perfect shot and you send it. The only thing close to this scenario with the active shooter is if you've got multiple deer in the field and you're trying to shoot one particular deer and you've got to wait on the other deer to move around it. Or maybe when we were hunting antelope out in Wyoming, and they're technically not antelope, they're pronghorns, you'd have a herd of antelope and you pick out the one you want. And we didn't have buck tags this year, so you had to wait on the bucks to clear and you had to pick out your doe. But again, these are grazing animals. This is not a chaotic combat scene. You see, combat shooters have the same concerns, but not the same amount of time. Combat shooters are moving. The bad guys are moving. The victims are moving. And the victims, the people you're trying to protect, can be in front of the aggressor, they can be behind the aggressor, and they can move into the line of fire between you and the aggressor as you engage the aggressor. I've always impressed that the difference in me and the real SWAT cops. The seasoned operators almost always are moving to the threat, and they close the distance, eliminating the chances for the civilians to be interfered with or to be harmed. Moving and shooting things that are moving changes the difficulty. Moving and shooting things that are moving with a time factor added in changes the intensity. I've got to go to several gun classes and got to watch people, at different ranges, and I've seen good target shooters. And I mean good target shooters, guys who can stack rounds, guys who can put rounds in the paper and all the little tiny circles touch each other. I've seen them go from that kind of precision to completely missing targets, hitting the wrong target, or even forgetting to load their weapon when time and movement are introduced into the equation. Unless one specifically trains in pressure-based scenarios, one does not do things fast and do them well. We tend to panic. We tend to overthink. We tend to get tunnel vision. We tend to only think about the thing that we're supposed to be doing and not everything else that's going on. I remember there's a sign in an auto repair shop. It hangs up on the back wall and it says, "Do you want it done fast or do you want it done right?" And speed kills, literally. The bullet, the arrow, the football, the basketball, the hockey puck, etc. Any one of those things shot too fast without proper awareness of the situation will miss, will get blocked, will get intercepted, will hit an unintended target or do unintended damage. You can't make a bullet stop. You can't call the bullet back. Once it's fired, it will impact somewhere. Words, action and inaction have the potential for impact. You can say anything you want to in a heated moment, but what if your children are in the room? You can say anything you want to in an argument, but what if the words travel further than you intended, and those words end up in the future with your spouse, your children, your friends, your in-laws, your congregants, your neighbors? It's true. Our words only have the power other people give them, and other people's words only have the power we give them. But often, harsh words, hasty words, cruel words, they don't do the intended thing. They don't have the intended impact. They don't have the desired impact. They don't win the argument. They don't settle the debate. They don't really make us feel better long term. They may make us feel better right then. Those words don't justify our behavior. They just simply add to the chaos. And being cruel to someone else doesn't make that other person smarter. When speed is a factor, it usually means that we think we have to say or do faster than the situation calls for, and the speed increases the potential for error. You got to ask yourself, what's the intended target? What's behind this? What's between us? And what do I hope to accomplish by doing this? Am I going to win? Am I going to cause harm? Am I going to heal? Am I going to help? And then really the big question is, who else is going to be impacted by this? And how far of an effect will this impact have? Going back to the Terminator movies, the scary thing about the Terminator robots is that the thing that created them, this thing called Skynet, this gigantic AI platform, it was self-aware, but it was also self-absorbed. If it had any awareness of other things, it was selfish, it was defensive, and therefore it was destructive. You see, the marathon target systems forced us as shooters to be aware of others, not just ourselves, not just our intended target, not just our objective. You step out across that shooting line with a live weapon, you've got the other shooter there, but you also have the other people, the other robots that were involved, and some of them weren't supposed to be shot. Being aware of the others around you determined when you shoot, where you shoot, and whether or not you shoot. Being aware of others will determine when you speak, where you speak, when you act, where you act, how you act, and whether or not you need to speak or act. In the Terminator universe with the Skynet robots, when Skynet became self-aware, and being self-aware, it began to defend itself. When we become self-aware, we recognize we don't always have to be defending or protecting ourselves, because true self-awareness, not selfishness, and not being self-absorbed, true self-awareness means that we can be aware of other people and the impact we might have in the middle of chaos and fear and turmoil. Yes, we are autonomous, and we have jobs to do and roles to play and rules to follow. But if we just stop right there and we only operate in our designated spaces and we don't get outside the lines and we just do our thing, if we never consider the potential that we have to impact others, if we are not other aware when we speak, when we do, when we act or react, then we are not treating people as people. And we're not treating our lives as self-aware people should, because, see, self-aware people are other aware. And if we just go through life doing our thing, seeking that one objective, and we're not other people aware, then our lives, our work lives, our family lives, our church lives, those lives are not very real. They're just simply robotic. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use two large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.